Hi everyone and welcome to another speed paint, but this time it's animation. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined my live streams, my many live streams of trying to finish this animation. I'll be unlisting them and putting them in a separate playlist if anyone wants to go back and rewatch them or just watch them in general. The video is also a little segmented all over the place in terms of recordings because a lot of this was done live, so I do apologize for stuff jumping around. The rest of it is in the form of live streams if anyone else is interested in seeing that. I want to give a big thank you to my members Niraz, Tazzy Creates, Bex of All Trades, Rosebud Art, Courtney Jones. To support me further, considering becoming a member. That's some fun stuff. More information at the end. So this was quite the process. I went through a lot with this animation and I also learned a lot, so that's good. I think my main takeaway with this is that I just need to finish things. There were many times during this animation that I kept redoing things, like specifically the hair, and even now I look at some of the frames and I'm like, I want to scream, but if I continued to do that, I would have never finished this animation, and actually finishing it and pushing forward has given me a bit of confidence to maybe take on some more animation things. And I'm currently in the process of reorganizing some of my stuff. You will see a lot of live streams be unlisted and put into playlists. That's just to reduce clutter in the feed. I'm going to also be creating a backlog of videos to be able to post because I went MIA for a few months and I wasn't posting because of some heavy art block, but more on that another time. Anyway, the process of making this was really fun. I had a few ideas in the sketch phase that didn't really make it. Specifically, you'll see throughout the video a shot of Archeon's back, or like when he's turned around, that I wanted to include, but I just didn't have enough time to include it in the sense that it would look nice. Like, I wanted it to stay there for quite a while, but I also wanted that shot of the dagger, and both of those just could not exist together within the time frame that I was given. And also, I just didn't think it looked very nice in the end. So with the animation process here, at least, I did something, I guess, a little more organized and different than what my usual approach was. I very much segmented different parts of Archeon in the sense that it was like you have the face and the head and then the hair and blah 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 and all these different things. Whereas before I would have probably done like Archeon's full body along with the clothing and everything on one layer and maybe the hair on a separate layer, like that much. But doing art fight last year and this year has sort of changed my process up a little bit, to have a little more organization in the layers and things like that for my animation. I thought before I was doing it well and like pretty okay and organized and all like these different things, but truly not, like fully not. But this one, I think that it went really well because I had my proper keys and everything, and I sort of like worked back from those. It's just, I feel like the process is a little more refined now. I think that another thing that really helped me was truly working from like proper keyframes instead of like whatever messy ones that I just so happen to have in the rough animation. Also having the rough animation be fairly clean in movement stuff, because there's a lot of times in some animations where the movement is either a little janky or just not like unrefined, but it's like the lines are so thick and vague that it's like, yes, this could be a movement, but how is this going to translate into line art and things like that? And it was just like usually a bit of a mess. But this time I think that it went pretty well. The thing that I love most about the outcome of this was specifically the way that his hair flows at the end, and the way that his face squishes up when he smiles. Ooh, that sweet little smile of his, I love it. He's such a sweet boy, and I feel like that smile very specifically encapsulates that. I'm sorry I keep hitting this mic. Also, if you hear some sighs and things in the back, that's because my dog is sleeping on my bed, and she's silly. Anyway, Archeon did actually go through a bit of a redesign quite literally after posting this, and honestly the design that he has within the animation I think is good enough for animation, because if I were to include his new design I would have died. There's just too many different colors and things like that going on for it to exist in the animation. One thing I found really difficult, and that was because of that sort of like what I went in before of like the vagueness of some movements and things like that, was the body. So I had to do like quite a lot of sort of experimenting and doing some like timing stuff with the body that was just a bit of difficulty, and it was just like hell really to deal with. But you know, I guess you learn for the future. I still believe that coloring frames and things like that is the worst part of animation. It feels tedious, it's not fun, it's not so the way that I kind of view animation is sort of like drawing, but it's problem solving, because you have to like think about like things like movement and things like that and yada yada yada. And just coloring is the most boring thing ever. Shading as well, it's just lesser fun animation. It's yeek. Also, another thing that I had to go back and redo was the dagger sword thing that he's holding at the beginning, that he sort of like shifts to like see his face. Just the design was so vague and weird at first that it was just like, what's the perspective and like geometry thing that is going on here? It's not making sense. What the hell? And yeah, basically like I just had to entirely like redo it, redesign the dagger specifically for this animation. I don't think the dagger is canon within like any like D&D stuff sense. Like he probably does own a dagger, but it probably doesn't look like any of the ones within this animation. That was just purely for this. I guess going into a little sort of the concept or like the thought process behind what's going on here is because something like I forget the lyrics because this is for a map. It was something along the lines of like, I can't go back or some shit like that, and part of Barkin's backstory is that he kind of escaped from his flock. And he's sort of moving on with his life and being happy, and so this is sort of that kind of, I don't know, realization of like, yeah, I can do whatever the fuck I want now. This is so much fun. And him sort of smiling into the sunset. So I kind of, at first I wanted to do sort of like little bits of hair animation, sort of like flowing away from the dagger as if he'd like cut his hair essentially. But too much work. I didn't want to think about it. There was like opposing perspectives and blah 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 and yada yada yada. So I just opted to not to do it. I don't think you could get the context clues anyway. Could it have helped? Sure, definitely. Did I do it? No. Does it matter? Also no. Another thing that I completely forgot to do when I was doing the sketch was Arkion's wings. And those were a bit of a nightmare to try and figure out. I remember I did them on stream, and I I went at them for like maybe an hour or something, and I was like, this is good, this is fantastic. And they were. I really liked the way that the wings turned out. They gave me just a little bit of difficulty at the start though. They weren't the easiest thing to do. They were a little difficult. Leave it at that. But yeah, going back to the dagger, because I just completely jumped there. I redesigned it to be more, I guess, geometrical and easier to follow in turning perspective, because I'm not a very advanced animator, so you know, I can't be doing those weird funky organic looking shape circle boys, whatever, and rotate it. Who do you think I am? But I think that it turned out really, really nice. I think that near the end, when I was compiling everything and, you know, doing the backgrounds and like the light and the shade and all these different things, that's when I was really excited to finish it and to really see it, because just those final end points of just like seeing it all come together are just so exciting, and it fills me with so much joy, because it's sort of like seeing this thing that you've worked on for so long be like a full thing, like more so than even like there's like a type of happiness that I receive from finishing illustrations, but nothing beats making an animation, having it look good and nice and sexy, and for it to be done, especially since animation takes so fucking long. It's so tedious. But seeing all of that come together was so satisfying, and I thirst for more. The next few live streams are likely going to be just whatever general stuff until I kind of get back on my feet and start a new animation that is also going to be another D&D character of mine. If you follow my Twitter, you will know who it is. It's Elias, my lycanthropy tiger cleric. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I definitely want to try and capture more of the animation process with that than I did with this. I'm going to also be recording my live streams and including those in the speed paint, so we don't get like this sort of janky thing. For the backgrounds and things like that for this animation, because the map itself is sort of like a time of day kind of thing, and everyone has like a different time of day, and then that's how the thing transitions. I wanted to use the colors provided with me because sunsets are so diverse and varied, and you know, I actually find painting sunsets really difficult. I don't like it, but sunset is one of my favorite times of day, and like has such beautiful colors. So, you know, I just snatched the colors from the screenshot and I was like, yeah, this is good enough. I didn't know the initial style that I wanted with the background, but I ended up just going for a, I guess semi-detailed, like, it's like a pixel brush, but it's kind of textured around the edges. I didn't want it to be exactly in the style of Archeon because that would, I feel like it would be either a little too flat. I kind of wanted to have this sort of like stylistic difference of like, you know, when you see like proper animation and then painted backgrounds, kind of like that. I also had the clouds move. I forgot to render that so many different times and I kept kicking myself in the ass for it. But actually drawing the clouds were really fun. The only thing that wasn't fun was actually doing the background, which, you know, who likes doing backgrounds? Nobody. I mean, I'm sure there's some people, but I don't. So in fact, it's nobody. But yeah, so you can see at the end here, I'm just like messing around with colors and different things like that, and finally just like putting on like all the lights and stuff. Very sexy, very satisfying, very cool. But yeah, I'm excited to start my next sort of animation thing. For those of you who are interested in seeing the final version of this, it has already been uploaded onto my YouTube. I'm also going to link the full, like fully edited map when it is uploaded. I think it should be uploaded or like finished within the next month or so. I'm not really sure. I know there's been quite a few parts that have already been finished, but when that comes up, I'll make a community post and you can also see it in the description of the actual animation. Thank you everyone again for joining me during the live stream process, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. And I'm also still trying to decide what day should be my upload day, so if any of you guys have a preference besides Saturday, because that's the streaming day, you know, shout it out. I would like to know. But yeah, thank you all once again. If you want to support me, you can become a join member. With this, you get perks like having your name shouted out at the end of the video. When you become a new member, it will be verbally said like at the beginning of this video. It will also be presented on the setting up screen. During my live streams, you get specific badges and things like that the longer you are a member, and access to channel exclusive emojis. But yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!